Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 was a major part of my childhood. I believe it was my first or second PS2 game I ever picked up. I can't remember if I picked this up before Budokai 1, but I do have fonder memories of it before I have memories of Budokai 1, so I don't know. But either way, it's around the same time. It was around the same time. Budokai 2 released roughly, if not less than, a year after the first Budokai released. And they really overhauled the graphics, the look, the design. This design in Budokai 2 would be the staple, the Budokai shtick design that they would continue to use going forward for many years. There is I believe it's called Dragon Ball Heroes, Super Dragon Ball Heroes. There's a card game kiosk, arcade cabinet, whatever, throughout Japan, and they continue to use the graphics shtick, the graphics style, the graphics engine of the Budokai titles that started with Budokai 2. So it just goes to show just how memorable this look became, because they never changed it ever again until Burst Limit. But we'll get to Burst Limit eventually. I don't have a physical copy of Burst Limit. I would love to get one someday, but maybe for the future. But for now, we can go up to Infinite World. And up to Infinite World, they use the exact same graphics engine. Budokai 2 added a bunch of new characters, but mainly the Buu Saga characters. I don't think there are any movie characters or anything like that. Bardock started to show up in Budokai 3, so Budokai 2 just had the characters from the original series, from Dragon Ball Z only. No OG Dragon Ball characters, no GT characters, but just Dragon Ball Z. And it goes up all the way to Kid Buu, and that's it. I remember playing this game and never having unlocked characters like Future Trunks, Videl, and a bunch of other characters. I played this completely blind as a kid, I would just go through the story mode again and again and again, and there are some things that I would try differently. There are some things that I would do just so I could get different lines of dialogue, different cutscenes, etc., because the way the story mode is set up for Budokai 2 is like a game board. When you start the game up, you get to see your character of Goku as the only 3D model. Every other character that you get to use just has a little playable icon with their little face on it. They're like little pieces on a game board. And I honestly thought that was very refreshing. I think this is one of my favorite story modes, mainly because of the versatility and how you could tackle this. And I was very upset. I was very upset to see that Budokai 2 did not make it into the Budokai Remastered for PlayStation 3. The Budokai Remastered added 1 and 3, 3 being the most popular of this series, but didn't have 2. I don't understand why. But I would agree wholeheartly that Budokai 3 has the better combat mechanics. It's got the better everything about it. It looks, the graphics-wise, it looks exactly like Budokai 2. But what made Budokai 2 interesting, and what made me continue to come back to Budokai 2 again and again, was its story mode, was its very, very unique story mode. It was so unique. It was basically playing a board game, and every time your character icon crashes into an enemy icon, you would do a fight with that character. And each character has a number of little HP slots, which indicate how many times you could fight them until that piece left the board. Goku starts the battle with 3 little HP bars, meaning you could defeat Goku. You could lose with Goku 1 time, and he would lose 1 of his 3 little HP nodes on the game board, and then he would be down to 2, and then he would be in a delirious state. And if another enemy piece attacked Goku and you lost again, he would lose 2 pieces, and 2 pieces of HP. And this is the exact same way that the enemy game pieces would work. If you defeat, for example, let's say you have Goku and Piccolo, and you surround Nappa, and Nappa has 4 HP bars. And you have Goku defeat Nappa the first time. Nappa would lose 1 HP bar, and he would go into a delirious state. And during that same turn, you have Piccolo attack Nappa, and you defeat Nappa with Piccolo. Nappa would lose 2 of his 3 remaining pieces, leaving him with only 1. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into playing this one, and I really enjoyed that one. I really did. I think that if you were to re-release this game, re-release this story mode, I think it would be received a lot better nowadays, just for how refreshing it was, for how refreshing it is. Because so many following titles would just give you a list of battles and you just keep battling and keep battling, but this actually turned it into a sort of mini-game in and of itself. Of course, you had the combat fighting as it is, but it also had this game board, and I really liked the game board. There are certain things you could do during your turn. The whole map, you can move along a set map trying to avoid enemy game pieces, and there are certain icons that you can find throughout the map. There's like a Dende icon. You can see Dende on the game board. If you moved your character over to Dende and you pressed wait on that turn, you just skip your turn, you could sit there and wait. Dende would heal you for 1 HP bar, and you would be healed. And if you wasted another, if you just sat there again for your next turn, he would heal you for another HP slot. And he'd do that for all of your allies' HP slots. So you could just maneuver your characters and game pieces around to cycle around to Dende, do that. There's also a dig option. Let's say you're looking for something like maybe a Dragon Ball. Well, if you find the Dragon Radar on the map, there's a Dragon Radar icon somewhere on the game map. You take your character, either Goku or one of your allies, you go over to the Dragon Radar, and you pick that up, and then you would learn where the Dragon Ball is on that stage, if there is one there. It would find it, you move your character over to it, you can use a dig option. Instead of taking action that turn, you can use a dig option. And then you can look and see if there's a Dragon Ball hidden beneath your feet. And that's how you collect Dragon Balls in the story mode. And I thought that was pretty fun. That was very fun. What else? I think the bonus game mode, because the bonus game mode in Budokai 1 was the Hercule Challenge, where you had Hercule, Mr. Satan, fight all of the guys at the Cell games leading up to Cell. That was very fun. That was one of my favorite things there. I don't remember if Mr. Satan... No, I think he is in Budokai 2. I think he is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I know Videl makes it her for debut in Budokai 2, but I never collected her until years and years and years later. That's the thing that I actually loved about Budokai 2, was the way you unlocked characters. You had to do very certain specific things, and some of the things that you had to do, you wouldn't know to do. Let's talk about the bonus game mode first before I talk about that. The bonus game mode for Budokai 2 is Babidi's Spaceship. You have to collect the Dragon Balls first, and then you make the wish to unlock Babidi's Spaceship. And in Babidi's Spaceship, that's where you unlock the Buu Saga characters. You have to do one of 4 little things. I can't remember all of them. Some of them involve you having to block a Ki Blast that an enemy fires at you, and you have to keep blocking it like a Ki Blast ping pong, basically. You have to keep blocking a Ki Blast, and your enemy will always automatically block a Ki Blast, and you have to block a Ki Blast, and you basically play Ki Blast ping pong, and you try to build up the longest Ki Blast ping pong chain, and to earn the highest amounts of points. There's a bunch of other shticks that you have to do during Babidi's Spaceship that really help you learn a lot of the mechanics and stuff like that. And the higher you go with Babidi's Spaceship, the more characters you unlock. You will unlock Dabura first, then you unlock Fat Buu, then you unlock Super Buu, then you unlock Absorption, which is something for Super Buu to use, which allows him to absorb random amounts of characters. And only in Budokai 2 will you be able to absorb Cell, Frieza, Tien and Yamcha, and Vegeta. Yeah. On top of Ultimate Gohan and Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, which are the 2 canon characters that Super Buu can absorb, you can absorb one of these 4 characters and become Buu Vegeta, Buu Tien-chan, Buu Cell, Buu Frieza. You could fuse and use all of their techniques, and Super Buu has his own unique dialogue for all of these things as well. It was very fun. It was very fun to experiment with that. It was very entertaining. And of course, the final character that you unlock in the Bobbity spaceship is Kid Buu. Kid Buu was one of the it was one of the toughest fights in the story mode of Budokai 2. When you would finally reach Kid Buu in the final stage of the game board, the final area, you go to fight Kid Buu. He is tough. He has max HP. You had to really whittle him down. He had, like, I think purple HP bar. The HP bars in battle would go from red HP, you have 1 bar, yellow HP, you have 2 bars, green HP, you have 3 bars, blue HP, you have 4 bars, and purple HP, you have 5 bars of HP that you have to beat down. So that, for example, if the enemy has purple HP and you whittle him down, he goes down to blue, then it goes down to yellow, then it goes down to goes down to green, then it goes down to yellow, then it goes down to red, and then you finally beat him. But let's say if you fight Kid Buu and he's got purple, and you only bring him down to green HP, and then Kid Buu defeats you. If you have Vegeta standing next to you and Vegeta attacks Kid Buu, you'll start the Kid Buu fight with green HP. And then if you whittle him down, finally you defeat him, and then he'll come back at purple HP. It is a very, very tough time. You whittle him down piece by piece by piece, then you have to escape. Kid Buu, luckily, will not leave the area that he spawns in. So you can flee, you can run. And if you do, you can go and heal up. There's a Dende icon on the final game map. You can heal up your characters. You can get 2 allies during this game mode. And you'll also get to fight Cell and Frieza because they're returning characters in this. Cell and Frieza are returning fighters in here. There is something that the Budokai 2 does do that I kind of didn't like. And it's that you can only play as Perfect Cell and Final Form Frieza, and the game treats this as transformations. So these are the only 2 characters whose ki bars gradually decrease in their base form because they don't transform. Their ki just gradually decreases because it treats Perfect Cell and Final Form Frieza as a transformation, which makes me think that First Form Frieza, First Form Cell, Imperfect Cell, Semi-Perfect Cell, all of those transformations may have originally been intended for this game, but they got scrapped due to time constraints or something like that. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they thought that there was no reason to include them for this story mode because there's no reason for Cell to keep transforming or anything like that. Maybe, who knows? Cell, I arguably think you could have had him have a transformation of some sort. And Frieza, arguably, I think you could do it. So let's talk about how I think you could have added Frieza's transformations in. In the 3rd game map on Planet Namek, you could fight Frieza in his first form. And let's say he has 5 HP blocks on his character piece. If Goku defeats 1 HP block on Frieza's bar, just have him transform into 2nd form Frieza. And then if Goku defeats him again, he'll transform into 3rd form Frieza. And if Goku defeats him again, he'll be final form Frieza. Each time you defeat Frieza, he gets harder and tougher to defeat. Do the same thing for Cell. On the Cell games map, I think that's the 4th or 5th game map, you have Android 17 and 18 on the map. Have Cell, as in Perfect Cell, somewhere on the map, and he shows up after you defeat Android 16, or have him show up after you defeat Jiro or 19. Then Cell shows up on the map with Android 16, 17, and 18, and have Cell chase down the Android 17 and 18 while you try to attack 17 and 18, but 16 keeps getting in your way because 16 is chasing down Goku in a beeline towards Goku, so only your allies could get up to the androids because 16 is doggedly pursuing Goku, so you won't be able to do it as Goku. Have your allies take down the androids before Cell can attack them, and if Cell encounters one of the androids, he absorbs them and he transforms, and he'll gain an HP bar or a second or third HP bar. That would be a way you could have included the transformations for Frieza and Cell, but unfortunately they didn't do that. So you only get to play as Perfect Cell and Final Form Frieza, and their HP bars, or their ki bars, gradually decrease as if they were transformed in their base forms. But other than that, it's still fine. They still control very well. They're very fun to use, and for the first and only time, you will encounter Majin Cell and Majin Frieza. There are some great what-if stories in here that I was very surprised to see. I never thought that a game would actually do this. There's so many what-if scenarios in Budokai 2 that yeah, it just baffles me how few people ended up playing this in comparison to Budokai 1 and 3, thanks to the re-release on the PlayStation 3, and 2 just got trapped on the PlayStation 2 and just faded from memory. And it's very sad. There's so many great what-if things in here, like Goku and Mr. Satan confused to become Goku, Tien and Yamcha confused to become Tien-chan, and that was very fun. What else? Outfits. Let's talk about some outfits. Most of the characters just have recolored, reskin outfits, but some outfits in here, they did carry over into Budokai 3 and Infinite World, but they did not carry over into Burst Limit, and many of them did not carry over into the Tenkaichi games either. One outfit that Yamcha has, starting in Budokai 2, is his banana suit. Now, if you don't know what the banana suit is, just look up onto Google, just type in Yamcha yellow suit, and you'll notice it. It's the suit he wears during the Buu Saga. Admittedly, he never fights in it, he never does any battles in it, but they let you use him with the banana suit. I thought that was charming and fun. Budokai 1 had a bunch of alternate outfits that never made it into any other game ever. And Budokai 2 had a bunch of outfits that did make it into Budokai 3. They did make it into Infinite World, but they did not make it into any future titles, sadly. The banana suit is trapped onto the old Budokai games. That is sad and unfortunate. I really wish they would have added it into other things. What else? There's no Kid Gohan in Budokai 2, unfortunately. They scrapped him. They gave you Teen Gohan for Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan and all that stuff, but they did not add Kid Gohan. I checked through it, I tried to find him. He wasn't there, unfortunately. The game automatically unlocks Adult Gohan, but not Teen Gohan. You have to unlock Teen Gohan through doing certain things. And that's something that I really appreciated in this game. And it's something that I feel is lost on newer titles. So the new Sparking Zero, Tenkaichi, they don't do a lot of these things. I miss the days of unlocking characters, of having to do something to unlock a character, and that feels so much better than going onto a DLC shop and buying a character. Why buy a character when you can unlock the character? Just make a sequel to your game with all of the new characters added in that you players can unlock, instead of paying money to unlock them in your first title. When you make a sequel, it gives you the opportunity to refine your combat engine, to refine the characters' movesets, to refine all of that stuff. And of course, you can always do that in a patch. Oh, 3 years later, we get a new patch for 10. No, don't do that. Preserve the old combat engine. Make a sequel enhancing the engine. That way it makes both versions worth playing, because you could play the old way and the new way. That's what I liked about the old Budokai games, is that if they made Budokai 1 today, they probably would have gone back in and refined the combat over the years, and we wouldn't have gotten Budokai 2, we wouldn't have gotten Budokai 3, they would have just refined the engine in the Budokai 1 game until it looked like Budokai 3, and until they all had a bunch of DLC characters, until you had the Budokai 3 roster, but it only contained the Budokai 1 roster in the base game, so you would have to buy the other characters. I didn't really care for that. I didn't really care for that at all. I like the older method, and I'm never going to stop harping about that. I like the older method where you unlock characters instead of having to buy them. Get a sequel, get some new characters, and that makes people excited. The sequel with the new characters, the new story mode, the gameplay mechanics, the new bonus modes, because each one of these games has a bonus mode that's unique to it. Budokai 1 has the Mr. Satan Cell games, Budokai 2 has probably Spaceship, Budokai 3 will have something that I'm going to mention in the Budokai 3 video, which I actually really enjoyed. Budokai 2 is a fun time. It's definitely worth playing. I think people need to go back and take it a look, give it a look, give it a new look, give it a new thing, because it's just got one of the most unique story modes. What other way can I say? You could take Future Trunks to Planet Namek to fight his father, and I think there are unique cutscenes for this. There are so many shticks where you can bring a character who would not plot-wise fight one of these enemies, and you would get dialogue. You would get unique dialogue for that, and that was very fun to see. And of course, I think to unlock future Trunks, you actually have to take Kid Trunks, who was not even born during the Planet Namek era of Dragon Ball Z. You had to take Kid Trunks as your ally for that third stage in the game, where Vegeta is an enemy on the map. You take Kid Trunks to that fight, and you fight Vegeta with Kid Trunks, and you have to defeat Vegeta with Kid Trunks. And I think that unlocks future Trunks. That's crazy. That's awesome. I love those little hidden little things that you had to do. I definitely think this needs to come back. I definitely think people need to give a look at Budokai 2. It's really slept on. It's the one that gets ignored out of the Budokai trilogy, and that is a travesty. It's a travesty. Budokai 2 is fantastic.